I can tell you right now, I'm a Christian. I believe in God, but I have been going here for 3 years. I'm a junior. I have, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I have most definitely faced racism and prejudice no matter what I believe in. And it's just really hard to sit up here and listen to people come up here and say, oh, I don't want to learn CRT. It's just making you able to interact with other types of people. I have no problem.
No, it's not. So let me just tell you. So at the Georgia public schools in Atlanta, they put black sixth graders in one classroom and white sixth graders in another classroom. Is that evil?
I've never seen. Can you show me a video of those kids?
Atlanta segregation of public schools.
Well,
it was
please
national
show me.
news.
Not to interrupt, but I have family members that go to schools in these areas, and I also have people who live in redlining districts where they can't go to good schools.
Do you support segregation?
No, I do not.
Okay, we agree. Therefore, black-only dormitories and black-only graduation ceremonies and putting sixth graders in one classroom based on skin color or the other, those are outgrowths of CRT.
So tell me, give me an example of what critical race theory is. That was my first question.
I'll be happy to tell you. So critical race theory is an emphasis at saying skin color matters, that the color of someone's skin is important in judging the value of the human being.
I get that, but if you were teaching a class that is like that was talking about critical race theory, we were all sitting here.
Yes.
What would your lecture be? Like, tell me what are your points? Like, who is this author that you're reading?
Herbert Marcuse, and an author by the last name of Spinoza, wrote a book called One-Dimensional Man in the 1960s. Herbert Marcuse came from the Frankfurt School in the 1930s, and he started this at Columbia University. Coming out of a Marxist belief of power dynamics, he believed that power struggles were not just the rich versus the poor, but also black versus white. And he wanted to expand the kind of conversation to also engage racial dynamics. Inherent in critical race theory is a belief that people are not individuals, they're members of tribes. Inherent in the idea of critical race theory is that there is no free speech or reason or scientific inquiry. These are white supremacist, Eurocentric constructs that have been put into the Western world. And the one that I think that is most prevalent, CRT believes racism is everywhere, that racism is the norm, that racism is within our systems, it's in our language, it's in our customs, it's in our codes, it's in all these sorts of things. Now, that's a super quick version of what CRT is, so happy to dive into that more, but I think we don't have to overcomplicate it, which is, do you think people should be judged based on the color of their skin?
It's not that I think that, but it's that it's happening. And you cannot ignore that I might not be treated the same as him as he walks
You're
through the
right,
door.
it is happening. Like at Coca-Cola, they say they need to train their employees to abolish whiteness. At AT&T, they said they would need to train their employees to get rid of whiteness. We have a supply and demand issue with racism in our country. We have an incredibly low supply of racism and an incredible demand to try to fulfill it. So we've created racism where it doesn't exist and try to turn everyone into mini racists against each other, which has now manifested itself into a massive anti-white movement in our country where I believe, more than anything else, we should care about character, not skin color. Do you agree with that?
It's not, I don't believe that you understand what I'm saying. It's not that I don't agree with not, I'm sorry. Oh, it's not that I don't agree with, you know, what you just said, but you have to realize that black people are like, white people are not being hunted after. Y'all can come here and live a great freaking life. Alabama is a safe haven. These PhD fraternities and sororities are a safe haven
You
for white
think you're
people.
being hunted?
Let me tell. Okay, y'all can laugh, but until you have walked as a black person on this campus, y'all truly don't understand. And I've gone to school with white people my whole life. I've gone.
So
but it's just.
I will end with this. You're not being hunted at the University of Alabama, and there is no boogeyman that's trying to get you.
It's not. You're making it seem.
You live in the least racist country in the history of the world.
You're in Alabama. You are literally in the place where it's not okay.
You mean the place that has given you more talking time than any other person here, and where they sit respectfully.
You're supposed to shut me down and be like, go sit down? I mean, of course I'm going to talk to you.
That would have happened 100 years ago. You're right. 100 years ago, you might not have been allowed to come into this room,
So
which would have been
bow to you because that's
which would have been evil. No, instead, we are here, we're creating a movement to say we never want to go back to the segregation that once existed in this country that is now being pushed by people in corporate America, in academia, and other places. We want to strive for a country that cares about character and the soul and the spirit of the individual, not on tribes, not on the melanin content in people's skin. And I will say this as compassionately as I can, is that you are not being hunted as a black person in America. There's not a single statistic that affirms that. There's not a single data point. Instead, the opposite is true. We are the least racist, most accepting, multiracial country in the history of the planet. And I pray one day you'll be thankful to live in that country.
Okay.
Thank you for being here tonight.